Okay, this is how we left it at the end of part 1, where we had the images and the voice track, the audio track there. So first thing we're going to do is tidy up this audio track. We have some stuff at the beginning, some dead space. We're going to kill that. Moved it over so that when we do a cut of the audio track, it doesn't cut the actual images because it's the same timeline. So we're going to find out where the singer's voice starts, because I like to start the audio just before that. So now we know where the singing starts. We're going to back it up just a little bit. It's 5:10 there. I'd like to get it back to 5 minutes, but it's a little touchy, so we'll accept whatever we can get. So once we've backed it up slightly, the next step is to cut. We use the razor blade, drag it, pull it down, and then it'll snap to that line. When the little red line disappears, it's snapped, so it's cut. We'll go back to the selector arrow, and we don't have to select it, it's already selected, but we're going to delete it. So now we've got the MP3 track starting where I like. So we bring it back to the beginning. So when you're dragging it, try to drag from the bottom half, not where the waveform is. Because if you do it there, you can see you might alter the volume of it accidentally. So we can see now that the images at 5 seconds each are a little longer than our available MP3. So let's bring the read head back to the beginning too. And we just check how it sounds. So you see the little blue thing. So while I'm playing it, I'm touching the letter M on the keyboard. That makes a mark or a marker. So those are the beats that I'm going to try to synchronize the music to. So there's many ways to synchronize. I don't really know so much about it. You should study that up on YouTube. Just do a search for making AV shows, synchronization, stuff like that. So I'm just going to put in a few markers and then show you how to adjust the slide lengths to change on those markers. So that's enough. You can see how there's kind of 2 markers, and there's kind of like a chorus and 2 more. So that repeats through the song. So going with the fact that the images are too long for the MP3, we're going to shorten them all, make them change clip duration, make them 4 seconds. 4 seconds and 0 frames. That leaves gaps, of course. We're going to push lock to remove the MP3 from everything and delete the gaps. Now we can unlock the MP3 again. It's back in the timeline. So our next goal will be to do some synchronization. That trim edit, that's an important button. We're going to use that to allow us to lengthen and shorten the duration of the images. So we select them with the selector, and then we use that trim edit option. Now when the slides are so small on the screen, it won't let us move them. So we're going to make them bigger. And now when we move the cursor to the right hand side of one of the slides, Well, first we'll bring back the read head. Okay, so when we move the cursor to the right hand side, it'll show up as a right square bracket. So again, with the selector arrow, let's select a few because we want to line them up. So we'll select 3. This one just has to move a little bit. Select the trim, edit, and see the right square bracket. Now we can pull them shorter a little bit, and all the slides go along with it for the ride. The 3 that are selected get shortened all a little bit respectively. The other ones don't change. This is a key item, ripple timeline markers. When I moved them, the timeline markers actually moved. Well, that would ruin everything, as you can see. So we turn that off. Ripple timeline markers, we turned it off. And now we redo it again. I did a Control-Z to kill everything before. So that first one is a pretty good lined up. And we're going to move along. See, we're going to make this one a fair amount shorter using the trim edit mode. Square bracket, pull it. And it'll just line up nice. So they don't have to be very exact. Later on we're going to put transitions in anyway, which will occupy probably a quarter second or a half a second. So to a viewer, they'll seem pretty good. So selection arrow to select some more. And we're going to just bring it to the last marker that I made. Trim, edit. So that's the one we want to use. There's another trim one beside it. We don't want to use that. Just this, the one that's the second icon. So we're going to bring that back in to be underneath the marker. And the rest of them, this would be pretty repetitive. So you would actually go through the whole thing, pushing the M for the markers, and then lining up slides with those markers as you like. So we won't do that. So we just play it. You can see the first marker, it's not exact, but that's just the beginning, doesn't matter. The second marker will be pretty good. It's going to change at the same time. And the other ones will too. Our final step will be to add transitions. So on the video transitions, there's quite a few. Under audio, there's only a few. So that's the fade in and the fade out, basically. So we do the video transitions first. So I decided to put a few transitions, a few types. So in between where the markers are close, I'm going to put one type. And in between where they're far apart, I'm going to put a different type. All the way through, in fact, if we were to finish everything. So you drag the transition over and sit it over the dividing line in between the slides. It could go to either way, so be careful to put it over the line. So with each marker, I put the same transition. In this case, it was cross dissolve, but it could be anything. And in between the close markers, I'm going to put, looks like it's arrow iris. And for real, now we got the beginning of that kind of a chorus, I'm calling it. We put this push transition. And in between, I'm going to put all the same. So I'm just dragging some video transitions in between. And I'm going to do the same thing after the these markers here, because it's always a repetition. And I'm going to use the same video transitions as I did for the first. So this would be something you finish out through all of the slides. It's a little tedious. You have to be careful, but if you make some notes beforehand what transitions you're going to use, it should work out pretty good. And where it would start another one of those double markers, I put a push transition. So we just played a little bit, make sure things are working. First time through, they don't look like they really are working because it's caching the transitions. That's got a lot to do with power of the processor, the GPU. But on the output MP4, they'll all look perfect. So, looks like pretty good. Now we go to the end. We get back on the selection, back on the razor. We're going to chop off the MP3 that we don't require anymore. Back on the selection, select the end part and delete it. We're going to try to make the whole timeline fit in the one screen. So we touch that button and it just automatically makes it fit. So now we want to add the audio transitions, the fade in and the fade out. So we just drag them. That's the fade in. Sometimes it doesn't look like it's going to work, but it's there. You can see that little thing showed up. And we just pull it to increase the time of fade. Now the fade out, again, same thing. We dropped it and it worked, so we increase the time of fade out. That way it's not a sudden drop. So with all the work done, we want to make sure we save this project, so if anything doesn't look quite right, we can get back to this spot. So we save it with a new name, V3 for version 3. These names are just internal to daVinciResolve. And once we've saved it, we come down to that deliver kind of a spaceship icon. And we can use YouTube again to get us in the right ballpark. We're going to use 30 frames a second, 1920 by 1080. MP4. Well, where it's already got the storage, that's okay. That's from last time. And we're going to give it a title. So I put V3. We can always change that. It's just going to become a file name. I put that to link it with the project name in case more work needs to be done. So we add it to the render, the queue, and go to the right. You see the job number is there and we're going to say start render. Okay, so it's in progress. This is going to take quite a while, so we'll speed that up, come back in when it's done. So here we go. The rendering's all done. The car's MP4 slideshow has been generated, and we've saved the project.